Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome to a viewer replay, and according to Google Translate this is from Sergeant phj, which according also to Google Translate means fur booties. So we are watching Sergeant Fur Booties, or as I'm just going to call him, Sergeant Booties. Anyway, as apologies to any German viewers. He is in the Cheeto, and I've picked a Cheeto replay for a reason, because I'm actually grinding to it madly this weekend. I've basically played very little else but the Chernu, which is the tier 5. And we'll actually see tomorrow a Chernu game. I'm doing this totally backwards. Today I'm doing the tier 6, tomorrow I'm doing the tier 5, but hey, that's just how I roll. The reason I'm showing this is because it's a pretty decent game, and it is of the minimum tier that you will need to complete the upcoming mission. Now, the reason I'm suddenly interested in Japanese tanks after basically ignoring them for ages and ages is that the latest mission to win a WZ-111, which is a tier 8 Chinese premium heavy tank, it involves having at least a tier 6 in every nation and fulfilling certain requirements for every nation, which is going to be 150 kills and 150k damage. And only up till now, having had a tier 4 light Japanese tank, well, this was something of a problem. So this weekend I'm hoping to get through the tier 5 and get to the tier 6 and just play through that to try and fulfill the Japanese part of the mission. Anyway, there's about a month to actually do the whole thing, so there's a good chance that I will be able to actually get this premium tank, because there basically isn't any other way to get it. Well, kind of. I'll say that with some caveats. It hasn't been possible up till now to get it outside of the Chinese server. However, Wargaming are basically going to let people skip bits of the mission for nations they don't like at, it looks like, the equivalent of about $10 a pop. So for all 7 nations you can pay $70 and just basically buy yourself the thing. So if you want to skip the mission entirely, that's fine, you can do. It's not going to be an especially cheap endeavour, but the fact that they have made it modular in that way, that you can buy per nation, means that potentially, you know, if I find the Japanese too difficult, then I can just pay a little bit of money and fulfill that nation's requirements and concentrate on the rest. Or even if you're limited on time and you can only do so many battles in a day, then you can pay $10 or $20 and thus reduce the amount of time it's going to take. So it's not exactly pay to win, it's more, as ever with Wargaming, pay to progress faster. So yeah, you can just buy the thing outright, you can make it faster, or you can do the whole slog yourself, which is what I'm going to try and do anyway. I might give up, but I'm going to give it a go. And Sergeant Booties, by the way, has just discovered to his cost. Yeah, that's a Cromwell. Yeah. So I'm going to need myself a tier 6 Japanese tank. Obviously, in all the other nations, I have the tanks required. But for the tier 6 Japanese, it looks like an alright machine. It's got no armour, as Sergeant has just discovered to his cost. And Formaldehyde also has no armour. I don't quite know why he went up there when he just saw his doommate get shot by a Wolverine further back. Well, shot by something further back. I know it was Wolverine, of course. They didn't necessarily know. But the lack of armour is a bit of a problem. Lack of mobility. I mean, these aren't the fastest machines, but they have, as I said in, I can't even remember which video, which patch it was, but I did one of my rare forays onto the test server and had a look at the Japanese tanks when they came out. And the flavour of the Japanese tanks is really about their gun depression and their DPM. Now, it's not true across all the tiers, but generally speaking, Japanese tanks have got good gun depression and good DPM. And the Cheeto, well, it's got both. So, although it doesn't have the mobility of some of the faster tier 6 mediums, like the Cromwell or the T-34-85, it's still pretty decent. And although it requires more caution, if you get that gun to bear, if you can keep those shells flying out of the barrel, then you can rack up a decent amount of damage. And he's already done 1350. This is not looking like a good situation, though, in this battle. Now, there's a reason I chose this one. It's because it's also a decent battle in its own right. But he's down to very few hit points indeed. and it's not looking particularly good at this point, and now he's down to even fewer hit points. That Wolverine, man, he's well hidden wherever he is. So this is an unenviable position for Sergeant. Oh, there's the Excelsior, who is fortunately a one-hit. So staying alive is going to be tricky. So he's going to take the chance, he's going to pop out, gets the sidearm of the Excelsior, but the Excelsior gets him as well. So he's down to 20 health now. Basically any of the remaining enemy tanks could, with a, even an HE shell, probably kill him. Maybe not the Lux though, depends on the gun the Lux has. I don't think the autocannon has HE shells. But yeah, the Lux is dead, so that doesn't matter. That's just me going off on a total diversion. We're down to one friendly tank, the Jagdpanzer IV, and Sergeant is doing his best to rush in and help this guy, because if he just abandons him, well, he's going to die for sure, but if he actually goes to try and help, there's an outside chance that this might work. It all depends on the enemies, and we see there the T-34 is very badly hurt. This Churchill 7's not too great either, but Sergeant makes a bit of a silly mistake. He shoots the side armour, which does damage the track. In fact, I think it takes the track off, but he soon realises his mistake, goes to the back of the turret instead, and there we go, Churchill 7's down. The M6 has got the most health out of the remaining two that we can see. The Wolverine, we still have no idea where he is. We know where he was, or rather where he was sniping from, and the SU-100 could be totally AFK. We haven't seen hide nor hair of that guy. He hasn't had any kills. Oh, hello T-34. So we have no idea if the enemy SU-100 is actually in battle or not. If he is, if he's got his top gun, he's especially dangerous because he could one-shot either of these people. But yeah, now this is a bit risky. The Cheeto doesn't really have good armour, doesn't have good side armour, but fortunately for him, the M6 is not parked in a particularly good position. Even more fortunately, the M6 misses his shot, and I think going backwards there, it was a bit risky. I mean, as it turned out, the M6, the way he was positioned, he wasn't going to be able to take advantage of the fact that Sergeant drove backwards rather than forwards again. But he's now a one-shot for Sergeant, so the M6 is going to be cautious himself. And this is a 2 versus 1 situation, so although there is a lot of risk involved with this, either of those people could die. Either way, the M6 is going to go down unless there's a lot of bad luck involved. So the M6 turns to look. Sergeant uses the distraction to his advantage, and bam, 1965 damage. So the Wolverine, we know he is, well, he's a cautious player, or a campy player if you're going to be unkind, and he has not shown up at all until now. But if he's going to have any chance of killing either of these guys, he's got to come to them. He's got to come to the cap area, basically. There he is. Now, unfortunately, the Jagdpanzer IV is driven out in the open, but fortunately, it isn't going to be the end of him. Now, he does take a hit there, but Sergeant drives back to assist. There we go. He's spotted. And the only risk now is that the SU-100, if he is in battle, is sat behind the Wolverine spotting. But no, we haven't seen hide nor hair of that guy. There seems to be a good chance he's actually AFK, and the Jagdpanzer IV is still alive. Also with that kill, Sergeant got himself over 2,000 damage and a Radley-Walters medal, so this isn't bad. Now he does say in the chat, first pools, you need another 2 kills for a pools medal. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a pools. Now, unfortunately, yes, the SU-100 wasn't AFK. Or maybe he was for part of it, I have no idea. But it seems like he was just camping along the back line. Literally, that's all he was doing. And by virtue of the fact that he still had all his hit points, he is quite possibly going to win the game. It's all down to this Jagdpanzer IV now. So sometimes you can have a situation where somebody wins not by being a better player, but they win by being a worse player, and actually having more hit points left at the end of the battle. And you can end up with situations like this where, even though you'd think he would have easily killed the low health Jagdpanzer IV, he still came remarkably close to losing, even so, that SU-100. And the reason why I say, well, he probably wasn't just AFK and then woke up was the fact that in that battle he fired 9 shots in total, so he didn't fire all his shots at the end there. He certainly woke up in time to fire some snipey shots at the start. But Sergeant's score was by far the best on either team. He had an ace mastery, Radley-Walters, top gun, high caliber, 1305 base XP, so he obviously got a courageous resistance bonus, which meant he had as much XP as if he'd actually won, 2198 damage and 8 kills. The enemy SU-100 that cost them the match, 120 damage and 2 kills. Yeah. Sometimes things like this happen, and it's just annoying when it does, but at least he didn't get penalised in terms of his credits and his XP. At least he walked away with what he would have had if he'd won, and it was an ace mastery on a defeat. So I think we can say the moral victory was to Sergeant, and it's just unfortunate that the SU-100 wasn't entirely AFK, because for most of that battle he might as well have been. It was only at the end that he actually did anything at all, and it was unfortunate that Sergeant just lost so much health up to that point. If he'd had a few more hit points to be able to take a few more hits, if he'd driven around the outside edge maybe, or if he'd stayed by the cap circle, well, although he probably assumed the same as I did, that the guy was AFK, because he hadn't been seen at all up till that point. But anyway, there's maybe a couple of things that could have given both the remaining players, the Jagdpanzer IV and Sergeant Booties, a fighting chance of making that a win, but alas, it was not to be. So, the Cheeto, it looks like a pretty reasonable tank. I am not my best in mediums. I'm going to probably have to work quite hard to do well in it, but I have to say, even though I'm finding the Cheeto also, not the Cheeto, the Chernu, rather a lot of work, I'm not doing too badly with it at all. I'm getting all right stats, and now that my crew is nearly at 100%, because at the moment, this weekend and also over the coming couple of weeks, it's time to do crew XP, or coming couple of however long it is. That has really helped me get a crew from 75% to now nearly 100%, and it just feels a lot better now. I'm getting the full potential of the gun on the Chernu, but I'll talk more about that tomorrow. So if you enjoyed this replay, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.